What's going on, guys? So welcome back to another episode of, what is this? Ethan blabbering in his garage about fitness shit? I don't know. That's what we could call it. Ethan blabbering in his garage about fitness shit. So I'm doing a push, mostly chest day. So I'm warming up for the bench here. It's cold in here, so I'm using these bands really just to get some extra fluid and warmth in the connective tissues and tendons. Straight bar bench has a higher rate of shoulder injury. Now I'm not going too heavy on the bench. Actually, I do anything from 225 to 275 for reps typically. My biggest bench once was like 335. So maybe once a year I'll go to like 315 just to make sure I can still do those three plates just to stroke the ego a little bit. But yeah, warming up on the bench. Gonna hit some chest, fly variation, a little bit of triceps, and some deltoids, side raises, particular side raise that I really like. And then that'll be about it. And just by the way, I've got about 45 minutes today, really busy day, lots of calls with students and clients. So fortunately, I have the garage gym here. So I'll just show you what you can do in about 45 minutes, typically if you want to knock out a good workout. And then this evening, I'm low on resources. So this evening, I'm gonna have to go to the grocery store. So we'll go grocery shopping together and I'll record that and we'll have a good time. All right, see you in the first bench session. All warmed up, first sat on the bench today. I'm wearing wrist straps. My wrist was feeling a little vulnerable and I'm feeling kind of fatigued today. I didn't sleep well and I got a super busy day, as I mentioned. So, today's one of those workouts. Right now, it feels like just do what you can and you just show up and do it regardless of how you feel, and you should be doing that. 99% of the time. Of course, there's those times where you're like, probably shouldn't work out that day due to illness or injury or just major crippling fatigue. But so I'm wearing the wrist straps just because weight's feeling kind of heavy today. 225 bench is not heavy for me. I think the most I ever did on it was 19. But I had surgery in October, gynecomastia surgery. It's where they remove the gland from your nipple, something I just developed as an overweight teenager. So I had that cut out in October, and I'm really happy with that surgery, by the way. But the recovery process, especially for the chest, took a while, so I couldn't do any like pushing movements for like 6 weeks. So I'm still kind of building back up in strength. So I got the wrist straps on. By the way, these are from Norse Fitness. I don't know if YouTube will let me put the link down below just yet. Still kind of learning how YouTube works, honestly. But if you go to Norse Fitness and you want to buy their gear, I highly approve of it. And if you use promo code IronWill at checkout, you'll get a discount. I don't get any kickback. I just basically want to help them out because they're awesome people and they produce good things. All right, so set number one. I was gonna say we'll see how it goes, but fuck that. That's kind of a bitch mentality. Let's fucking go. All right, let's do this. We'll see how it goes. Fuck that. All right. Well, that woke me up. That first opening set, it's always good. It sets this pace. So I don't know, I think I got 13 there. I'll log that. So there's a couple techniques in bench press. Right now I'm kind of worried more about hypertrophy than strength. So a little wider on the grip and less of a back arch. And my feet are planted. I'm getting some leg drive, but I'm not getting this like powerlifting status right? Where you kind of shorten the range of motion and a lot of leg drive. That's geared towards more strength. And if you want to just hit a bigger number, that range of motion is shorter. So definitely a technique, but I'm just using I just always called it the bodybuilding technique for bench, really just trying to get the pecs recruited as much as possible. So anyhow, just 2 top sets today for that. So I'm gonna go hit this next one here in a moment. I'm gonna wait probably, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, hit another one, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. Next exercise is a low incline dumbbell press fly. So I've never really gotten much out of the classic fly where your arms are almost straight and you bring them up like that. Probably most likely due to lever arms, so different body types, right? I'm 6'3", I've got long orangutan arms. So at the end of the day, my bench is gonna look different than a shorter guy's. So will my squat and my deadlift and my overhead press. And I just, no matter what I did with dumbbell flies, I'd always just kind of feel it more in the shoulder joint than anything else. And you could argue my technique sucks, but fairly confident that it's pretty good at this point. Cable flies, I'll get something out of that. The pec deck, I definitely like to use a lot. And on that note, the pec deck, with the ones that have the arms that swing outwards as well, not just that range of motion, you can kind of do this same movement I'm about to do here. Now I'm going kind of heavy for this first set, 75 pounds each dumbbell. Reason being, last week I did 50s, and the next jump I have up in dumbbells is 50 to 75 at home. That's one. The other is I just got way too many reps with the 50s. So I'm gonna do set number 1 at 75, just see where I'm at there. And then second set, I'll knock it back down to 50 just to get some volume in. So I'm definitely woken up, but I am feeling kind of fatigued. My heart rate's a little higher than it typically would be right now. And the weight does feel a little heavier than normal. So all just signs, you know, like I gotta pay attention, like I should probably maybe try and get some better sleep tonight and maybe eat a little bit more food, particularly carbs. So I'll do that. Okay, set number 1, low incline dumbbell press fly. So I'm going neutral grip, palms facing together. And you'll see the difference here. It's not a regular press, it's not a regular fly, it's just kind of something in between. Big stretch at the bottom, squeeze at the top. Big stretch at the bottom, squeeze at the top. Oh, it's all about that stretch. Okay. Yeah, those are tough at that weight. So, ooh, a little dizzy. Okay, so not this motion, not this motion. Something in between. Slightly slower on the way down. Big stretch at the bottom. You want to feel a big stretch throughout the pecs and the shoulder. Really important there. So not just kind of this half rep range of motion shit. We want to take the muscles and the joints through full range of motion for ideal outcomes when it comes to hypertrophy. All right, one more set of those at 50, and then again off to the next exercise. And I think it's just 4 movements today, so it should be short and sweet, but also effective. Okay, so next up we have the cross-body cable tricep extension, right? So the direction my humerus bone, this bone here, is pointed is the direction I'm extending the elbow, right? The direction I'm gonna guide the cables. So cross-body, meaning I'm grabbing it this way. Now a couple tips. If you flare your lats, if you know how to do that, you're kind of resting your triceps on it. That's the way I like to do it anyhow, okay? So your triceps, the inside of your triceps are resting. And then I'm gonna go, I took the handles off and there's these balls here. So you're gonna grab it by the balls, knock it off. I know some of you like grabbing balls. Okay, so cross body. So I've grabbed the balls, flaring my lats, triceps resting on it, I'm extending this way. Okay, so it's not down, it's not completely out sideways, that way. Okay, some common mistakes are getting hunched over too much. Okay, using momentum to do it. Now, last week I did a bunch of reps at, this is a plate loaded machine, so 50 pounds. So I know some people laugh at these, microdosing essentially, quarter-pound plates and 1-pound plates. I wouldn't add this to the barbell, right, for a big movement. However, if you have a plate loaded machine and you really just want to bump up your load because you're working with progressive overload every week or so, or maybe you've outgrown your rep range, then these are perfectly fine. It's very applicable. So it's just like if you had a pin loaded machine and you just bumped up like 2.5 or 5 pounds the following week. So yeah, tiny, but tiny differences over the course of time accumulate. So I'm gonna slap these on and go into my first working set. It doesn't feel like much, but look, that one muscle group, that tiny, well, it's not tiny, but you know, your tricep comparatively, over time, if you start knocking out the reps and just adding a little bit of weight each and every week or a couple of reps each and every week, that's how you grow as long as you're eating enough and sleeping well, okay? Okay, real quick sip of water. My mouth is dry. I got, by the way, electrolytes when I work out. Very important to stay hydrated. So I'll do electrolytes in the morning and then during a workout. Sometimes I'll do cluster dextrin, intra-workout carbohydrates. Can really help as well. Keep you burning that blood sugar that you're using up in this type of activity. Not necessary, and if you're interested in fat loss, I don't recommend it. Those are just calories that don't really satiate you, keep you full, but for performance is what is good, right? And I view muscle gain pretty much like performance when it comes to nutrition. All right. Squeeze, slightly slower eccentric, and big stretch at the top. Squeeze, slower eccentric, big stretch at the bottom, excuse me. All right. Whew, that was definitely, technique started to break down a little bit. And when technique breaks down and you want to knock out extra reps and you sacrifice that technique, you're not really recruiting the muscle fibers that you're trying to recruit. It's just the sake of getting it done. And that's, you know, for mental toughness, that's definitely a value. Or maybe you're competing, right? Strongman powerlifting, like there's no fucking time to worry about it. I got to get this shit done. Very valuable. But when you're just working out to build some muscle, gain some basic strength, you're fine-tuning a skill, right? You're honing a craft. Strength is a skill. Building muscle is a skill. Losing body fat's a skill. It's all skill development. So when you teach yourself those poor recruitment patterns just to get it done for the sake of it, you're also picking up on those negative habits that will eventually just be your go-to, and then you'll just do them too often, if that makes sense. So basically eliminating bad habits. So, man, I'm talking, I don't even know how many that was. I think that was 8. So I'm gonna log 8 at this new weight, 52.5 pounds. I'll do one more set. And then I lied to you earlier. I thought we just had one more exercise after this. We actually have 2. It's a side raise that I'm doing on this, and then a front raise that I'm also doing on this. So cable machines, dual cable cross, arguably my favorite type of machine for bodybuilding type workouts. Safer, you can max out on them, very minimal risk of injury. Whereas if I was benching or squatting, or maybe even like leg pressing, not so much on the leg press, but more so the free weights, higher risk of injury when you go to complete failure. unless you have a spot, of course, but still, you're under a lot of load and you're stabilizing a lot. So I really like machines. I used to not like machines. I know that's a debate amongst people. The funny thing is the people who tend to hate on machines are rarely jacked or very strong. So they're just kind of in this beginning phase where they're all about the barbell and free weights. And that's awesome. I really encourage it. I think you should build a strength foundation with those movements and tools. But don't go knocking like shit that you're not too familiar with, okay? You look at some of the biggest dudes on the planet, even the strongest dudes, like Brian Shaw, right? Eddie Hall, they all use machines, right? They're not just doing the massive lifts 100% of the time. There's a time and place for it. And the way I look at it is this: if you back off from the big heavy lifts, like max effort lifts, to grow muscle specifically, then when you go back to the lifts, the big heavy lifts, you've got this bigger energy box to work with that can apply more force, right? So it's never just a black and white, one thing or this thing. The fitness industry is great at making people believe that it has to be this or that, controversial topics, but it's all bullshit, because reality, at the end of the day, a 12-week study or you seeing benefit from one particular way of training within 12 weeks isn't gonna tell you what a whole year should look like, right? Whether it's a rep range or an intensity or movements. Because the reality is, when we talk about periodized model or periodized training, it varies, right? Throughout the year, rep ranges, intensities, movements, exercise selection, frequency, it's all going to vary. So you've got your training block, and then you've got like a back off phase. You have another training block. You might do different rep ranges, different exercise selection, different frequency, different intensities, right? Different outcomes, whether it's strength or hypertrophy or maybe speed, power, explosiveness. So it all varies, right? And once you understand this, that's where the results really start to come. And there's a science behind it, both evidence-wise and anecdotally. So don't go knocking on something if you're relatively new to this, because the fact of the matter is you just don't know. And I was the same. I was guilty of it when I like found something that worked for me. It's like, everybody has to do it. You have to do what I do because it worked for me. That's like real kind of like rookie status stuff. And yeah, you don't want to be that guy. All right, anyhow, spiel over, on to the next exercise. Okay, so behind the back cable side lateral raise, coach prescribed that behind the back. I honestly don't get a whole lot out of that, so I'm doing this variation. So one, the handle is just above my knees. It doesn't need to be all the way to the ground. And I'm gonna grab onto the rack here, feet together, and bring it close in and just kind of lean out. That's one variation I really like. Another one is actually when I lean in, my feet are out this way and I use my body as kind of a brake. But we're going this way. So it is a side raise, but it doesn't mean it's straight out to the side. My arm isn't completely straight, it's slightly bent, and I'm actually coming out this way and leading with my elbow, and I'm not coming up too high, really just right about there. It's a smaller range of motion, and we're really training that medial deltoid, okay? So. All right, 7.5. Whew. Decent shoulder pump, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not one of these like model types. I'm just a regular dude who likes lifting, living a healthy lifestyle, and eating a lot of food. So honestly, sometimes I lift a lot so I can eat more, because there's that inner fat kid, being a former fatty, formerly obese. But also like just the personal growth that comes from this kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, fitness is a force multiplier, right? The adversity you go through in every workout, every set, every rep, especially the last reps, makes you a stronger person mentally. Helps you develop the iron will. The strength you develop, the discipline you develop to show up and do shit that you don't necessarily feel like doing, but you do it anyway. That starts to show up in other areas of life, and that's a very valuable thing that we can learn from training consistently and training hard. And if you're not getting that benefit in day-to-day life from training, then you're probably not training fucking hard enough. That being said, there are times of maintenance. We should be at maintenance sometimes. It's not just cutting and then bulking and then nothing in between. We have to be at maintenance, and nobody wants to hear that. They know it's the truth. But we have to come back to homeostasis and kind of reset ourselves. I use air quotes because it's kind of bullshit, but we have to come back to homeostasis and just chill out and be normal people for a while and be happy with what we've achieved in our previous seasons, whether it be the off season, preseason, in season, right? We're going to a postseason phase. We kind of chill out for a little bit and just kind of operate at maintenance, but you need to get back into it relatively soon, right? A week or two, a couple weeks, or maybe if you're really busy, you're just like a month or so, right? Get through your life shit and get back to hard progressive training after dealing with what you need to deal with. But anyway, rant over. Last movement and then back to work. All right, just in time, last couple sets, and then it's back to work, making more money and helping people. It's a way of life. So what I'm doing here is an anterior, my blood is in my body, not my brain right now. I always sound really dumb when I'm trying to speak while working out. It's like, just shut up and do the work. Stop thinking about stuff. Get into your body. On that note, when you're overthinking things and you're just kind of feeling that anxiety, that kind of like feelings of overwhelmed, best thing you can do for yourself is just to get into your body, into a meditative state where you're just moving, whether it be lifting or a long fast walk, rucking, running on a bike, whatever. You're not thinking, you're just operating and you're moving, right? And your instincts are taking over. Best thing you can do for mental health, and that's been proven, by the way. Anyhow, anterior deltoid cable raise. I've never really trained mine a whole lot, mostly because they get a lot of work during bench and press and incline. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't train them. So I'm glad that Coach Jordan has put this in my program because I have been neglecting my anterior delts. So I put these down a little bit lower. And the cool thing about these last 3 exercises, by the way, is that I'm using the same weight, so it doesn't take me long to change. It's not a hassle to change the plates. And it might not even bother you if you're at like a public gym, but I'm in a hurry and it really just helps. Okay, so I've got lots of tension here, right? Good weight at the bottom. I can feel the tension, right? I'm not just relaxed, I'm tense. See, I've got this neutral grip. Okay, call that 7. So that increase in 2.5 pounds plus some fatigue today has brought my reps down a little bit, and that's good. So, find a weight. For me personally right now, it seems to be like first weeks, find a weight that challenges me in the 8 to 12 rep range. Ideally towards the lower end. Use that weight until I get to about 12 consistently, put more weight on, knock me back down. So that's where I'm at. I've put a little bit more weight on over the last week or two, and now my reps are getting lower. So now, next week I did 7, or this week I did 7, so next week I gotta do at least 8 on that first set, or at least beat the total. So if I do 8 reps, I've got 13 total reps for this set. So it doesn't matter what I do in each set necessarily, as long as it's more than 13 total next week. So anyhow, I'm gonna do one more, I'm gonna get back to work. But hopefully this was valuable to you guys. Hopefully you learned something. And yeah, we're gonna go grocery shopping. So I'll probably do that tonight. Gonna buy some foods that'll help me get even more jacked. Now I'd say this pump is decent. I don't really know how to do the side poses necessarily. That kind of stuff, I don't know. Am I doing that right? Bodybuilders, let me know down in the comments. Am I posing correctly? Probably not. Posing in and of itself is a skill to learn and develop. And you kind of gas, it kind of wears you out. But I think that's pretty good. Yeah, lots of blood in there. Cool, anyway. To show you how cool I am, I just like looking at myself on camera sometimes. But no, really, like, it's like you're painting something. You want to pause and look at the painting and see how it's going so you can. Actually, I'm just talking shit, so I should probably just end the video because I don't really have anything intelligent to say at this point. and I need to go speak to about 5 different people over the next 5 hours. So I'm gonna shut this down. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the grocery store.